And welcome back, everyone, to the week of What If. We're starting to wrap it up. We're on Friday. It's coming to us from, I always butcher your name. That's why I definitely didn't try the last one. That's why I always just used the initial. Shahin B. If I'm mispronouncing your name, I'm sorry. But you asked the question, what if Slenderman was in Hellraiser? That's a kind of unique concept because there's ways you could play about with that. First and foremost, the one that I think would come to a lot of people's minds, at least initially, until you thought about it more, is like, is he a Cenobite? Is he part of the lament configuration? Does he have his own type of, like a separate lament configuration? Which actually is a good question. Do we think there's more than one of those puzzle boxes out there? I'd have to believe there might be. But we only ever see the one. But that's actually a really interesting lore concept, if there's more than one lament. And maybe that's why he just shows up randomly in the world but not with the others. Maybe he's part of a different layer of hell. But the more you think on that, the more you realize, no, that makes no sense. Because the Cenobites, for as grotesque as they are still proportionally human. The doctor who's like attached to that machine that's attached to his head and all that. Great, he's got all that extra components. He's still humanoid in his overall appearance, in his base body. So, whereas Slenderman, while humanoid, is exaggerated in his height. He's overly thin. He has no face. There's nothing grotesque inherently about him. It's more that he is apparently able to induce psychosis, cause madness. He can use shadow manipulation, spawn tentacles, He's stronger than he looks, but doesn't necessarily speak. So he can theoretically teleport. So the idea that he's a Cenobite, as cool as it is, doesn't really match with what his lore can't really match up well with the Cenobite's lore to make that excuse for this what if. Okay, so what if he's actually he's just a different type of being? I mean, maybe something the Cenobites and denizens of hell are aware of. Because again, what Slenderman is still highly debated to this day. I've always liked the Tulpa theory, where he's a being born of collective thought. I don't know if that can even really work, because I mean, look how many people worship Jesus or religious figures, and yeah, Jesus did exist, but we didn't will him into existence, or did we? Have a little what's the term I'm looking for? Not Catholic. What's the word I'm looking for? That talking about religious denominations have a bit of a conversation. Not that, but I blanked on the word. Anyway, regardless. So what if he is just doing his thing when the Cenobites arrive? Well, so first off, Slenderman generally shows up in very random spots. Now, most of the time, it's not like it's less populated or like a non-populated area, but it's not you don't see Slenderman in the big city. You don't see Slenderman in New York very often. So him being like some place like New York, Chicago, Boston, I just put the accent on there for a little bit, Chicago, Boston, New York, he's not really showing up there very often. In fact, I'd argue almost never. But that being said, Hellraiser doesn't always take place in the big city. Now, it has usually taken place in more city-based areas, but that's just because that's where the lament configuration found itself. So in a scenario where they have to interact with each other, it's in a maybe not more rural, but a less big city type area. I won't name an area. Insert area here for the movie. Okay. So with that happen, because honestly, that's the only way we can make this work, is to kind of make a slightly fanficky scenario. Because otherwise, there's no real reason Slenderman wants anything to do with the Cenobites, to be honest. Legitimately, there's probably no reason he probably has no desire to interact with those individuals. No, I ain't touching them. So, the only way these two can even interact with each other, at least one individual versus group, would be if the individual that Slenderman is targeting, in a desperate plea to try to get Slenderman away, does open the lament configuration. it summons them. You called us, we came. That's the only way that can kind of work, I think. Because those random scenarios and things, like, oh, I know Cenobites are coming after me. Oh, what's that? Like, those, it doesn't really work for a story. Now, using one evil to fight another evil is a more common idea that we can throw out there. It's fight fire with fire, evil with evil. It's not an inherently broken idea, or an inherently terrible idea, anyway. And that'd be the idea, like, maybe this person's been studying the lament configuration, has heard the stories, and refuses to do the last part to open it. Maybe they're starting to be tormented by, like, the voices, like, open us, let us free, let us free. Maybe something like that's happening. But they refuse until, like, whatever, his friends maybe are being chased by Slenderman, like, he's just showing up randomly, and eventually shows up in the room, like, with them. It's like, oh god, no, you stay away. And Slenderman does get pissed off if you fight him back. Like, there's a story I remember where someone took a baseball bat to him, and he actually screamed. He got visibly angry, and he swatted the guy around. Like, despite his lankiness, he's actually quite strong. And then you factor in the tentacle concepts, tentacles he can throw out too. He's like just throwing people around. He starts to try to take one of the friends, and he just, let us out. And the guy just like looks at it and just goes, and just finally like opens the limit configuration. And that's where Slenderman pauses and just starts looking around. Like, there's the environment, like the literal, lack of a better term, vibe, has changed. He can sense evil in the air. It's like, you called us. You finally have called us. And he looks, and I mean, there's Pinhead. By the way, I've only seen part of the newest Hellraiser. Didn't mind the idea of a female Pinhead, by the way. And honestly, that was a pretty good, like, makeup job. So, because really, the base of Pinhead isn't the fact that it's a man. It's what the character went through to turn into Pinhead. So you could do that with a female character, no problem. And I didn't mind that, actually. And but I still prefer, I still prefer the original one. We'll tear your soul apart. Please do not waste such do not cry. It's a waste of good suffering. like the dude just nailed that role. Just nailed it. He was cruel. He was cold. There was a sadist enjoyment of it, but there was also a bit of suave. There was a bit of manners. There was a bit of elegance to him. And let's not mince words. The internet has spoken. There was a sex appeal there. So, yeah, no, I always preferred that version. So, but still, and that, unfortunately, he stopped coming. I think after, like, playing it after what, the fourth or fifth? No, I want to say it was like the fifth. After they went into space, I think he stopped playing the character, and then they started recasting the character. And, like, whatever. It's kind of like my issue with the Wishmaster series. Like, you get the guy for the first two movies, and he's still alive. He's still around. Clearly, he just didn't want to do it anymore, or they wouldn't pay him enough, so they got a new guy to do it. But I'm like, oh, no, that's a price for every wish. Like, that guy just owned it. There's just actors who can own a role. Anyway, he comes out, and, he's like, you kept us waiting. You endured, and you endured. You made us wait, and you denied us for so long. And I can actually see Pinhead and say, "Very well done. You haven't. You can't make smiles. You have a knack for the torturing." but he's looking at him and saying, so I wonder though, why would you have? And maybe he doesn't say, I wonder why you would have summoned us, because he is he's not like the Lord of Hell or anything like that, but he's a high priest of the Cenobites. Like, he's got supernatural ways. But for you to summon us, you must be truly desperate. And then Slenderman is actually, his tentacles maybe don't loosen enough that, like, the friend can get away. And it's just like, we've been aware of you for some time. And, like, other Cenobites are coming, and Slenderman's just kind of looking. Now, Slenderman probably wouldn't be afraid, per se, although it would probably be on edge, because these are now supernatural entities that can contend on some level with him. Normal humans can't really do much against him. Supernatural threats? That's a different thing entirely. By the way, the level of power Slenderman has varies in the creepypasta lore from the little I know about it. So, I've never gone under the belief that he is like the most powerful entity in their verse, because unfortunately it's all fanfic. Literally, the entire verse is fanfiction. So people just keep editing and doing new lore, new feats, new levels of strength. And this is why I don't like using these characters very much in Who Would Wins, because you're going to get those people who are fans of these characters who say, yeah, he's the much stronger, he's way stronger, you don't know anything about it. Of course I don't, okay? This is not my fandom. And anyone can write anything. It's another reason why I don't like do the Sugsverse characters very often, because it was literally written in a way that it's just beyond, it doesn't work in a Who Would Win. Same with like the Scarlet King or something like that from SCP. SCPs can vary a little bit in strength, though. So definitely, that's a little bit easier for verses. Again, I digress. So I would definitely put him as something dangerous. So like Slenderman is certainly dangerous. His power certainly needs to be respected. And, you know, the Cenobites are now kind of squaring off with him. You have been a nuisance for some time. Have you been eluding us? No longer. And, you know, his change gets summoned out. They kind of like hit the tentacles on the Slenderman, who does like screams a little bit. It's like, we'll tear your soul apart. And the Cenobites kind of start slowly walking in, and Slenderman just is like screaming right away until he just kind of stops screaming, just looks up, just casually like, really? And all of a sudden, his tentacles just disappear, and he just disappears into the blackness. And all of a sudden, then like the blackness maybe starts to engulf the rooms, and all of a sudden, like the non-pinhead Cenobites start kind of getting blocked off in the door. It's like, they try fighting back, and they're basically fighting against Shadow. It's like, meanwhile, the people are like, who would like the two friends like, we gotta go, guys. And the one guy who opened is like, no, I have to stay. I gotta see it through. I'm not letting anyone else get hurt by this. I tried my best to not open this thing, and I did it to save you. Now I gotta pay the price. And so, you know, he's watching as the shadows just engulfing the Cenobites one by one, till Pinhead's just like, enough! Or not even yelling, just like, he's just more like annoyed to, enough. And because one of the fun little abilities that people don't know about the Cenobites, at least Pinhead, is that he can actually just make not like nukes, but he can just make explosions. He's got pyrokinesis. So he just basically causes a huge amount of flames and destruction, which diminishes the shadow and actually does expose Slenderman. He just kind of starts blowing fire at Slenderman. Slenderman's shadow just come out, start kind of like attacking Pinhead, whose chains come out. They're kind of like squaring off with each other, and and then eventually just a big old kind of like supernatural explosion or whatever, and the dust would settle. And you know, like they're in like an apartment or something like that. The wall gets blown out. It's on fire. The guy can't see either Pinhead or the Slenderman. He picks up the Lemon configuration and walks, goes somewhere. I like the idea that he maybe goes to the amusement park we see in the newest one. Maybe just because he knows I'm not going to be able to run from this. I'm just going to have to wait it out. Whoever comes in afterwards, that's who I'm going to have to deal with. And he's like sitting on a swing, just lamenting about, what happened. And, his friends finally like, there you are. It's like, it's like, you guys got to leave. Just go. And then they like pause, and because they're trying to be like, no, it's over, right? No, one of them's still alive. Maybe they're both still alive. I don't know, but you just got to go. I'll be the one I'll be the one that guy with the pinhead comes for. And at this point, that guy, that creature is going to be after me more than it's going to be after you. And let's just go. I'm trying to save you. And they're about to say no until they look up and they see something behind him. And, he's just kind of like, he's got the chill up his spine. And he just like stands up and he turns. And there's Pinhead. And Pinhead, relatively fine. Like, yeah, in theory, he should look like he's destroyed, but really he just kind of, he's not human. He can come back in his general form. his chains are kind of hanging off his body with pieces of the Slender Man still attached, which are actually like still somehow screaming, and he just kind of like and like screaming as he's got the dragging the body along, and chunks are on his hooks. He just absorbs like, it's like he just sounds like, and it's Slenderman just screams like, and just says, exquisite. Your suffering. And he just looks at like Slenderman as he just kind of absorbs in. Your suffering would be legendary even in hell. And he just kind of absorbs him in. It's like, he's just taking his time, kind of savoring that. Now, can a Cenobite actually straight out die? Can we kill a Cenobite? I don't think. I mean, not by normal means anyway. Not by any means we see in the movies. We don't really see Cenobites get killed. We see them actually get hurt in several times. Like there's at one point, can't remember which movie it was. Pinhead is kind of overthrown by one of the other Cenobites for a short time, but in the end, you can't really. They're demons, more or less. You can't kill them in a traditional way. But a supernatural being like Slenderman maybe could have killed like the lesser Cenobites. And so maybe only I can't remember what was it. Literally just called the female. I literally can't remember. Maybe that one's there, but Pinhead just kind of because he's like even I can't control her. But he's actually like now that he like just absorbed like a powerful being. It's like no, back off. she actually has to be like she's like the only one who had the vigor and the and the attitude to get out of Slenderman's like grasp. The other ones are just like absorbed into darkness, lost for eternity. It's like, and just kind of, and Pinhead just kind of like walks up to him calmly, just looking at this guy like, and he just sees the lament configuration in his hand, reaches out and takes it. When we are called for our purpose, pleasure, suffering, not to aid or help. And not to aid or help. We are not heroes. We are not your friends. And the one who opens the lament configuration is designed must pay the price. It's like and it's like yeah. And like that's just like stuff like yeah. However, there are exceptions are always made. Rules are made to have the rules are not made to be broken, but exceptions can be granted from time to time. And you have given us a most adequate soul to torture and to have fun with. And the element configuration starts to close as the female Cenobite disappears. I hope you consider this your lucky day, boy. But no, if you ever wish to call us again, all you need to do is play the game. And so and I do hope you wish to call us again. And just the lament configuration snaps back into whatever, and he disappears. And it's just like, holy shit. And so they agree to just bury this thing, put it in concrete, then put it in a smelt, then throw it into the deepest abyss in the ocean. And so that's what would happen. That's what if Slenderman was in Hellraiser. I kind of did the best I could there, did a little fun fanfic story. But don't get on my case no, Slenderman's not that weird. I don't care. I do not care. Look, we all have our fandoms, fine, and we all are passionate on some level, but don't give me the BS, okay? I have no patience for it anymore at this time in my life. I'm just like, look, Slenderman, I don't think is the top dog in his universe based on what I know, and I'm not going to be really looking hard to try to disprove that right now. Okay. But anyway, that's my thoughts. What do you think? Thanks for watching. See you next time.